Welcome back, everybody. This is Frank Demore with the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. If you just discovered my YouTube channel, you can go to my prophecy site, which is BibleProphecyMan.com. And as you can see right now, I'm into part 2 of Signs Will the EU Break Up, Fulfill Prophecy? Part 2. So let me get right into the article that I started reading in my previous video, and you'll see it right here. This is an article about the French and the Germans explore the idea of a smaller Eurozone. And what's so important about this development of the possibility of the Eurozone? Right now, there's 17 nations in the Euro that are using the same coins. And if they break up, there is a good chance, the good possibility, that the smaller euro that they're talking about just may turn in to be the 10 kings or the 10 toes or the horns, depending on what scripture and book you're reading, of the last days, that the 10 kings will be giving all their power and their authority over to the Antichrist. So to show you that what we're seeing is actually the same direction as the scriptures tell us. This is the direction that it seems that the European Union is going to. So it says this: France and Germany have had tense consultations on the issue over the last months at all levels. A senior EU official in Brussels told Reuters, speaking on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the discussions, "We need to move very cautiously, but the truth is that we need to establish exactly the list of those who don't want to be part of the club and those who simply cannot be part." Remember, the scripture said some strong and some weak. Well, they may be tossing out some of the weaker ones and some of the ones who don't want to be part of it anymore. The French President Nicolas Sarkozy gave some flavor to his thinking during the address to the students in the eastern French city of Strasbourg on Tuesday when he said a two-speed Europe, the Eurozone moving ahead more rapidly than all 27 countries in the EU. In other words, there might be a breakup, and the breakup the smaller group may be moving faster than all of the 27 countries in the UE, because at the present time there are 27 countries in the European Union. And as I said, if you go and look at the Old Testament and you go look in history, you'll see that these are the nations that used to be in the first Roman Empire. The decisions among senior policy makers in Paris, Berlin, and Brussels raised the possibility that one or more countries leaving the euro, while the remaining core pushes toward a deeper economic integration, including a tax and fiscal policy. So again, there's that chance that the smaller group may turn out to be the fulfillment. Now, if down the line here we see that they did break up and it broke up into a group that there's 10, then you'll know that the scriptures are running exactly parallel to what's happening in this last world empire that hasn't really taken effect yet, but it will under the Antichrist. It says the change has been discussed on an intellectual level and had not moved to an operational or technical decisions, the EU officials said. The French finance ministry spokesman denied that there was any project in the works to reduce the currency's bloc membership. But you're going to see a little later on that's not the case. There have been no conversations between the French and German authorities at any level on the decreasing the size of the Eurozone, the spokesman said. A radical overhaul of the European Union would be opposed by many members. This will unravel everything our forebears have painstakingly built up and repudiated all that they stood for in the past 60 years, one of the EU diplomats told Reuters. This will redraw the map geographically to give rise to new tensions. Now keep in mind, the Lord also told us we'd have civil unrest, and we've already seen that coming out of the European Union because of the debt crisis. And again, it's running parallel to Scripture. It could truly be the end of Europe as we know it. Well, it could be the end as they know it, but a revitalization under a smaller group that will give them power and authority under the Antichrist. Now, in Berlin, European Commissioner President Jose Manuel Barroso warned that the economic cost of any splits in the Eurozone, Germany's gross domestic product could contract, and its economy would be shed 1 million jobs. Not good at all, he said in the speech. Barroso said that any push towards deeper economic policy integration should not come at the price of creating new divisions among the EU members. There cannot be peace and prosperity in the north or in the west of Europe if there is no peace and prosperity in the south or in the east, he said. To an extent, the taboo, on the countries leaving the 17-member Euro currency bloc was already broken at the G20 summit in Cannes last week, when Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel and Sarkozy both effectively said that Greece might have to drop out if the Eurozone's long-term stability was to be maintained. So, like I said, they were talking about breaking it up, and Greece is one of the worst that there is, and Italy's even worse, as you're going to see. But the latest discussions among the European officials point to a more fundamental revaluation of the 12-year-old currency project, including which countries and what policies are needed to keep it strong and stable before Europe's debt crisis management manages to break it apart. So here you go. I mean, you can see, this verse right here, or this sentence right here, is running parallel again to what the scripture told us what was going to happen to this last world empire. In large part, the aim is to reshape the currency bloc among the lines it will originally intended: strong economic integrated countries sharing a currency before the nations such as Greece managed to get in. In doing so, this exercise will be very serious on the criteria that will be used to benchmark, to integrate, and share our economic policies, the senior EU official said. So what we have here is we're watching the dropout, possibly, as you see even down here, the dropout, and the article continues on, as you can see, so I'll let you read that yourself, but here in the bottom line is we're seeing the same thing that God told us about taking place with the euro. So now let's look at, here's a short video about Italy.
Not have been present in body, but they certainly were in spirit as EU finance ministers met in Brussels. The pressure on leaders to come up with something tangible was intense as the turmoil in Athens and Rome played out. For Greece, however, no more money until it can prove it can be trusted.
The sixth tranche could then be disbursed once there is full clarity about Greece sticking to the agreed goals and policies of the EU-IMF program and of the decisions of the Euro Area Summit of the 27th of October.
Now, for time's sake, let's, Italy.
Not have been present in body, but they certainly were in spirit as EU finance ministers met in Brussels. The pressure on leaders to come up with something tangible was intense.
Let me go a little bit further here, because we're dealing with Italy now.
Imposing a financial transaction tax, at least in the Eurozone, is among several items still up in the air. This will be up for discussion at the next Eurogroup, while the official invitations for that haven't yet been made. That's due to take place at the end of November.
Now, this article was actually, they're talking about what was going on in Italy.
Action, there seems little sign. As our correspondent explains, in waiting for a clearer picture on what's taking place in Greece and Italy, the EU seems unwilling to make any move.
So we know that they're deeply embedded with major problems in that nation. Watch for it, because we may be seeing the beginning of the forming of the 10 nations that Jesus Christ talked about. Something to really pay attention to.